Hi, and welcome to Power of the Network. I'm your host, Tim Locker, Vice President of Broadband here at CBM. We've got a special location here. We're shooting from the M.A.T.S., Mid-American Telecom Seminar and Showcase here in Kansas City. It's a great place to get in front of so many customers and have all of our manufacturers under one roof. So it's a great venue for us. We've got some hecklers in the field, but we're not worried about what they're going to do here. So it's been a fun event. We're going to have a conversation with Mr. Larry Fausett of Finley Engineering. It's interesting. It'll be our first engineer on the show, so I'm anxious to get his perspective on what the broadband industry looks like. So tag along, stay with us. We'll get right into it. Larry, thank you so much for joining us today.
You bet.
We're here at the M.A.T.S. show in Kansas City. Great local event here. Nice trade show here in the Midwest. Mid-American Telecom Seminar and Showcase. It's
right
a mouthful.
It's a great show.
But what have you seen or what have you learned this week that's come to mind?
Well, it's a good opportunity for Finley to come in, and we both have clients here, right? And so long-standing clients, people we work for a long time. So we're having dialogues, what it takes to get things to the finish line for them this year, right? We've had lots of things going on, and it's always kind of a final push to beat the weather and to get the last cutover done and all that. So we've been talking that. We've been talking about what we can pull forward, from 2025 into 2024 to help them prepare and get ready to go for next year's projects, right? So pulling those forward where we can. Obviously, there's lots of funding opportunities, so we're trying to get people geared up, areas kind of selected. Those final maps, I think Missouri has released theirs even yesterday, today. We had some areas of interest, and now it's kind of refining those, if you will, to get them into that final area that's a fundable area. So, what those look like.
Where do you think we're going to see this money go? Obviously, where we're at today is a more telecom, independent telco related show. But you guys also do a bunch of work with utilities.
We do.
And, we're seeing, the utility industry, really going gangbusters in broadband. Do you think it's going to be an even distribution, or do you see one more favor in the funding than another?
Well, that's a good question because there's a lot of money for the state of Missouri, right? We'll just even focus on that with $1.7 billion that an agency of the state has to get funded out, right? Yeah. So I think there's going to be some big awards. I think there's going to be some medium-sized, as I've talked with BJ and even some smaller ones, but they've got a lot of money to get pushed pretty quick. So I think it'll be a good mix of all of it and a variety of players at the table.
Yeah, and just hearing some of the folks talk up in Iowa, there's kind of some rumblings, a lot of red tape, a lot of different strings attached, those kinds of things, and not seeing a real positive push for like wanting to get the money. What happens if nobody wants it? Then what? What do we do? It's got to go somewhere.
I think that's the key. I think money's going to go somewhere. Some people may not want the red tape and some of the requirements, and we've seen those. Some of our longstanding clients are like
short-sighted, or is there some meat behind that?
Well, I guess everybody evaluates their own business case and their own situation, and so we've got some clients who are really going gangbusters. We're kind of getting some counties preliminarily ready to go and see how that goes. Others have just said, it's really not for us. We don't want any of these requirements. And we're kind of doing some other things and other plans with our own money and have been successful in doing that.
Yeah.
And so we do see a mix. Some are jumping in, others aren't. So really is what we're seeing.
Yeah. Well, clearly at the end of the day, though, the money's going somewhere. So
the money is going to go somewhere. That's right.
Somebody's got to take it. So absolutely. I'm very interested in leadership and personal growth. I think it's important that you continually push yourself.
Yes.
And not only yourself, but your employees. You got to help them get better. What are some things that you've done recently for yourself in terms of personal growth, and what are some things that you try to do for your folks?
Yeah, it's a great question. From a leadership style, I guess I'll start there. My style is to come alongside and be relational. I think you got to establish that relationship with your associates and whoever you're working with. And so we have a great team at Finley, and it's really just coming alongside, building the relationship. I'm a mentor. I like to mentor and train, so that's definitely in the style. I want to be empower the individual, right? I don't want to. You can't micromanage. You can't be looking over their shoulder, right? You want to train them, transfer your knowledge and expertise over.
Yeah.
And empower them and turn them loose and really watch them succeed.
Yeah.
And then provide support as they're going along, right? Because there's these little one-offs and lots of questions here and there.
Yeah.
And you just want to come and support them in that endeavor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you mentioned mentor. What types of things, what do you think are your best qualities that you can hand off to the next generation?
Well, some of the things, because we've been doing it a long time, building networks. It's crazy to think that I've been at Finley 29 years, but some of the things that just come second nature and, well, this is how we do this. Well, it's training that person to think that way and to say, oh, the next step is this or this, because we've been doing it for a long time. And we got some really talented people coming in, some great skill sets, but it's how you apply that skill set, a project manager per se, or even a GIS person, that does all these things with the new maps and the way we do things these days. But you got to tailor that for our industry, for a broadband network, right? And so we kind of understand it because we've been doing it a long time. So it's come alongside training those, mentoring those folks into what we're doing. The what we do is still the same: building networks, wireless, fiber. The how we do it is very different than when I walked in the door 29 years ago. What do you
think's been the biggest change from when you started?
Just straight up technology. Again, I'm dating myself here, but we used to draw staking sheets with by hand and maps and schematics by hand, and it's all Esri based now. And we can drive down a road and a sheet gets printed or drawn right in front of us. As we drive a route with GPS technology and that's even advanced even more. So the how we do it has changed. What we're doing is still very similar: contracts and building networks.
How do you think AI is going to play a role in what you do?
Oh, AI is tremendous, and I even think we use it today, right? So there's some design tools that we use. Others in a competitor space do the same thing. Used to, we would sit down with a big piece of paper and start counting dots on a map by hand, right? Well, you use technology to do that today, and we can design counties in a matter of.
So the time that you
absolutely
can get things done.
Now it's not perfect. You don't just take it and go build it or order a bill of materials from it.
Yeah.
But
so
moving that needle.
What's that process look like after you've designed a county, for example? You go back and verify it. What's the accuracy level, or what are you finding?
So a lot of the times, and again, it can vary. If you're out in Kansas where everything's nice, square, neat, you get some pretty good outputs, and I'll say it gets you 80%, 85% there a lot of times. In the windy, curvy hills, you might have a house that from a GIS perspective is close over here. Well, it's up over the mountain and across country, and you're like, no, that doesn't. We have to actually build another mile over and a half mile up to get to that location. So some of those kinds of things. So it's really just understanding what it takes to build that network. Yeah. So, but it moves the needle a long way, and it's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. So help us understand how many different positions or different jobs within your organization. Somebody that's looking to get into the industry, there's obviously different things that you need from employees, but
sure,
what are some of the different roles, that are available within the engineering?
Yeah, realm? So it's a big gamut for us because we also manage outside plant construction projects, design and engineering. So even on the access equipment, so there's the technology and routers and switches and even I call them the big iron routers, the uplinks to the wide world web and VLANs, so the really technical stuff down to just construction and managing those and getting as-built records right and being out in the field testing, cable, doing all those kind of things. So it's a wide gamut. We need project managers, people who keep things on time and on budget.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, I think that's probably one of the skill sets that we're encouraging a lot of our folks. I don't care if you're a CAD drafter, a guy in the field, wherever you sit, we need to have that project management mindset of, okay, I'm on time and on budget. When is this due, and how quick do we need to get this turned? And keep in mind, we need to keep the quality high. It's not about volume, get it cranked through and done.
Yeah.
No, we need a quality product for everybody.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because that hits close to home for me. It's you get what you pay for, right? I think that applies to so many different things. But early on, we've seen a lot of different rounds of funding go through.
Yes.
We've seen a lot of different projects, and I mean, some were rebuilding already. Using government money a second time. So to me, I think it's real important that with this large amount of money that's coming with BEAD, we really owe it to ourselves, the country, the taxpayers,
Sure,
frankly, to do it right. So, to me, it can get a little frustrating when it's always just about price. Price. Where do we cut the price? Usually on materials, and I don't think the long term.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, we're building networks, fiber-based networks for sure, who that life cycle, the
lifespan, if
the
you
life,
will.
there you go.
Yeah.
The lifespan is a long time. It's not 5 years, 10 years. This is, 25, 30-year plant. So you really want to keep that in mind, because this is for the long haul. Yep,
Yeah.
for sure.
And so many times it's different funds too that are building the project, and then maintenance and those types of things aren't necessarily accounted in, that come into play years down the road. So it's hitting a different budget, if you will. But I think a lot of times that gets overlooked when they're saving pennies here and not accounting for what it's going to cost them on the back end.
Yeah. We try and keep everybody, and as we consult with folks, try to talk about the pros and cons and what we've seen work well and haven't worked well, and understanding budgets are important.
Yeah.
Back in the day, we would do budgeting and make sure we had enough money, so you padded things up, right, to make sure that you didn't run out of money to go get a loan or whatever to do a capital project. Well, today it's a business case. A lot of things are business case driven, so you want to make sure you have enough money, to cover inflationary costs as they happen year on year. But you don't want to over fluff it, because there's no project.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So you got to be
So
more dead on.
it's finding that balance. Yeah, and it's a tricky it's a tricky thing to do sometimes, but we certainly try.
How widespread are some of your customers? Are you just mostly here in the Midwest, or do you go across the nation? Or
no, we at Finley go across the nation. We have historically 5 business units, and we've got a project out in Washington State going, a few in Colorado, some in New Mexico.
Okay.
We've been down in Texas, Florida. We've been all over the place. Yeah. So it's a wide gamut, geographic, as well as it's not just traditional broadband providers anymore. There's wireless guys that have got in, municipalities, electric co-ops. All these are new players into the market, and we help.
That's
all
one
of them.
thing we've really seen is just that broadband is such a generic term anymore.
It is.
And it's not just your telcos that are doing it. It's the whole gamut of folks now. So
yeah. So we're in all of those markets, and Finley also has an electric side of our house. So we do transmission line, distribution, substation stuff
Power
as well.
utility work.
Yeah. So that's a kind of an opportunity for us to help those folks who are interested in the fiber markets, because those two worlds, in essence, have come together.
Yeah, we're seeing that.
And so that fits us very well.
What makes CBM different? First and foremost, I believe it's our ESOP. employee owners make different decisions. They value our customers, they value our manufacturers, and we're going to do what's right for each of them. So they behave in a different manner. We represent different lines in commercial industrial market, utility market, and also the communication market. These markets are overlapping more and more every day, and the ESOP and the way we're structured actually allows us to be more flexible and cover those markets and put our expertise where they need to be. So if you're looking for a manufacturer's rep with high-quality sales staff, good relationships, look no further than CBM. You can find us right here at cbmrep.com. So for my own personal growth, and even just for other salespeople out there, you guys see a lot of vendors, see a lot of product, a lot of people knocking on your door to show you things.
Yep.
What is one thing that you see some salespeople doing well, and what is one thing that you wish they would maybe do better?
Yeah, good question. And we do have people come in, right? And appreciate you guys. Salespeople that bring solutions, right? That we'll sit down and talk about. Here's what the owner wants to do, and people that'll come in and listen and kind of get the overall bigger picture here, what's going on, and then be responsive. I think guys who, and sometimes, you guys pull rabbits out of the hat and then it becomes the expectation, right? Well, they did it for me in 10 minutes last time.
Yeah.
Let's do it again. But being responsive back is really something that we see, and it's good to see salespeople doing right. And so we appreciate that. From a things that can drive us a little bit nuts perspective is when somebody comes in and tries to oversell. We need this time, and then they're like, well, yeah, I can do that, and it's like, no, we just really need let's stay focused over here.
Yeah, that's one thing over the years I've tried to keep in perspective. Like, obviously, you want to be around a long time,
sure,
right?
Sure.
So try to not get too defensive over every single little win. There's obviously, you look around the show here today. There's a whole room full of vendors.
Yeah,
there's room for everyone. You win some, you lose some, right? But what I've kind of come to understand too is, I used to think that, okay, I need to have a reason to come see a customer, like, and we want to be respectful, not waste people's times, et cetera. But what I've come to find out too is, like, it's okay. A good reason to go see somebody is, frankly, just to ask questions. What are we to figure out what you need? Mm-hmm. And I, as I was younger, I used to struggle with that, where, I need to have, something new. I got to have, the next gadget or whatever. But really, I think if you actually go with an open mind and try to figure out what those needs are, I think at the end of the day, you get a lot further.
Right. I look at it on the engineering side, because we're going to see some of the same clients, right? Yeah. Is taking the consultative approach. Yes, we're engineers. We do engineering. We do that, but it's the consulting side.
Yeah.
And what are you doing? What are you looking to do? And a lot of times they're asking us questions and new questions like, well, what do you see other people doing?
Yeah.
Over here or over there, and does that maybe fit us or not? And so we bring value to them, and that can often be a good way to come into the door.
Your role, frankly, is very similar to ours. There's choices.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of engineering firms, even here today. So customers have choices.
They do.
What do you think is one thing that separates you guys from other firms?
Well, that's a great question. We will come in and we listen. A lot of times people just again come in and say, "Well, this is what we do and how we do it, and this is what you're going to do if you no, Finley. We want to sit down at the table, consult, have a conversation, see what it is you're wanting to do, and then find the right fit for that."
Yeah.
Right. So
many times they answer their own questions, but you just led them.
They can
by listening.
Yeah.
A lot
they
of times.
can. Yeah. So it's taking that consult approach, listening, establishing relationships, and meeting their needs. So,
what do you think is one of our biggest challenges right now, moving forward in the broadband market?
Well, With the BEAD funding, you know, there's a lot of money getting ready to come on to the market, and a lot of people gearing up for that. I think it's going to be a labor resource item. You know, with COVID, there was the material items, and I think a lot of people have
I think we've made
readjusted some supply chain, and you guys can talk to that probably a little better than even I can. But I think the labor side is going to be the hard part here. Again, people who have been in the business and are qualified, keeping those folks and training new folks alongside. But I really think is important to us, and even finding those people. We have a team dedicated at Finley who's doing a fantastic job of finding quality people. Yeah.
That's been a common thing for, you know, a lot of people that we talk to, whether it's, you know, just looking for employees or the bigger picture, like you talk about, how are we going to get enough workers to actually put this fiber in the ground? It seems like labor is really a big concern. What can we do? What should we do? How do we train this many people? You know, we're talking, I don't even know how many miles of fiber the whole total project is, but it's a lot.
I know, right? Yeah, no. That's the $1 million question, I think now, is getting people in trades. And I know there's several in you know, regionally here in Missouri who are doing training programs and bringing young folks along, kind of setting them up. I think one of the things we had talked about earlier on in preparation was the high school and college market.
Yeah.
And bringing some of those kids and getting them excited about what we do, right, and the opportunities that are here before us. And so, you know, providing those, I think, is important. And then just as much as anything, I think it's creating an environment that people want to come to.
Yeah.
And that goes back to the relational side of things and a team approach that we've taken and want to maintain going forward as we grow. And Finley has really grown, and we have a growth path ahead of us. But it's maintaining that team approach. I got your back, you got mine, and let's do this together. And
are you seeing, as you continue to grow and add new people, are you seeing a trend of more younger, the next generation coming to the team? Or
you know, we've added across the board, really, and because we want some people with some experience. Yeah, because you got these some new guys, great with technology, great with a lot of things, and that's driving a lot of what we do. But we've actually been sending some of these GIS guys and gals, by the way, folks, with our outside plant people. And let's go to the field and let's look at what an aerial line construction is. And these construction units that you guys are putting on the prints, they can see the reasons why. And when you can kind of,
so important.
So we've been teaming up folks and just making the conscious effort to get those together, because the guys who have been doing it a long time may be a little questionable on or not questionable, but reluctant on the technology side. Yeah. And the technology people are like, hey, we can make this, do this, but what works in the field? So it's really been good to pair those.
So
those
from
teams
both
up.
sides of the spectrum, you can kind of fill the voids.
Yeah. Oh, I see why you're setting it up this way. And on the flip, you can understand what they're doing in the field, instead of having a pick list that's got 60 items in it. Well, let's whittle that down to the 5 we really need, because it saves us time in the field. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And so, we're seeing light bulbs connect, and
we try to do that even, you know, within our organization. You know, you got outside guys that have been around for a long time, and sometimes you take for granted what you know.
Right.
You know, and maybe you've got you know, a new team member on the inside and doesn't have the knowledge, and so we have to stop and you know, take the time to show them and teach them what it is. Because I mean, you know, like I said, we take it for granted, but you're sitting in there and, you know, you're getting bombarded with questions for stuff that, like, I don't even know what that is.
Well, that's another thing, because oftentimes we could kind of get into, well, this is what I do, and I understand this. Well, what is that connecting to? Like, we're bringing cables back to a building. Well, what happens once we go inside the building, and how do we get inside the building, and then to a fiber panel, and what's all that connecting to, and how does that lay out? And there's different ways of even doing that, right? You can bring tails out, or you can take cables in, and you got to do some different things with them to meet codes and those kinds of things. But it's understanding the bigger picture oftentimes is kind of an aha moment as well.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's understanding the whole picture.
Yeah. So let's circle back a little bit. Tell me about one of your mentors. What they did for you, what it meant to you, and
Sure.
how it affected you.
Well, I've been very blessed in my life from the beginning with a dad who spent a lot of time with me and showed me a lot of things. He's been in the industry. He was in telecommunications for 29 years. And so he kind of showed me the ropes, right, from an early age. When I came to Finley, and that was through a summer internship, by the way, and spent some time in the field with some guys, learning the ropes. It's one thing to have the college education and degree, but it's the real application in the real world.
Yeah.
And so I spent 4 summers with Finley out in the field during summer.
That's through your college?
Yeah, through college.
Okay.
Yeah, it was fantastic. But mentorship, when I actually got to Finley, a gentleman by the name of Kim Little took me in under his wing, and he kind of showed me the breadth of things. Yes, here's the design and the outside plant side of things, which is kind of where I came from, but then all the electronics and everything that connects to and the DC power systems and everything that runs the inside, right? So he took me in under his wing, and we just spent a lot of time together. And he would say, "Hey, let's go. We got to go inventory this. Come on down and let's do that." And inventory mainframe,
including you,
that's absolutely right. And as we're going, it's the reasons why. It's not we're just going to go do this, and there was the dialogue back and forth. So, he opened up and shared with me everything he knew, and I was a sponge, so to speak, and just soaking everything in. Right, it's like. It really works well when you can do that, and that's my style as well. I've taken that from, on the business side, and I've had some personal mentors. Some men have come alongside me on a personal basis, and family and faith who've mentored me well there too. So it's been on all aspects of my life, and I want to carry that forward at business level as well as personal level.
Yeah.
So,
that's
fantastic.
great. You have to you have to cover all facets of life and keep that balance.
That's right.
And that's incredibly important. And, I don't know what your travel schedule looks like, but, we're pretty hectic. We're on the road a bunch, and some people think it's just a party every day, but, that's really not the case. And we'd just as soon be home with our families as well, but it's how we've chose to make a living, and it's what we do. So we have to figure that out, in life as well. But it's very important to have that balance. And you mentioned, having other men beside you that keep you accountable.
Absolutely.
It's funny. I feel like I'm getting old because some of those things are important now, right?
Older, man. There we go.
I'm just old. I'll just admit it. But how you behave around your friends and your friend group, like it looks a lot different now than it did 20 years ago, so it's interesting to me. I didn't think I'd ever say that, but I actually see it now. So I don't know if I'm finally getting more mature or what it is, but it's an interesting dynamic, that when you actually realize that and put thought into who you're with and how you treat them and how they treat you, and whether you're able to be honest.
Sure.
And have those hard conversations, when you're being a putz and your buddy's got to be like, dude, we got to bring this up. It's a different conversation than we would have had in our 20s.
It is. Well, and I've been very fortunate. I've had some men pour into me, and we've had a lot of heartfelt, heart level conversations. And so that's a little more normal for me. It's very foreign concept to a lot of guys.
It is.
But having that accountability and those guys that come alongside and you do life together with, and it's really fun when you can tie that right back to the business side. In some of these companies that we worked with, we have that relationship, and we can talk shop and business, but also family and relationship stuff too. And so it's really good.
And we're so blessed in this industry. I mean, how many of your customers are some of your best friends too?
Oh, that's the great thing about this M.A.T.S. show, right? We get to kind of come in and from suppliers and vendors to clients themselves, and even competitors. We shake hands and talk in the hallway, and how's life? Again, there's a lot of work out here for everybody, and just it's a unique place, and it's a good time. I always enjoy this.
No, for sure. What would you say is one thing, one misunderstanding about your job that you would disagree with?
All right, so this is going to go to engineering, right? I the engineer joke, right? Engineers are boring, and I'm going to say no. Boring people are boring, not engineers, right? Yeah. So you can't throw us all into one bucket there. We're not all stereotypical engineers.
Well, you've been in the industry for almost 30 years, like you said.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of, you kind of mentioned it, but, we do it this way. There's maybe a little bit of a stigma, I guess, if you will, but do you feel like once you've got it, like we do it this way and there's a rubber stamp, is that true, or is there more thought into changing and being more flexible?
Yeah, sure.
Is that a fair assessment, or would you argue that?
Well, there's some efficiencies to just doing it the same way, and you just do it again and do it again and do it again. But as we enter in dialogue, and there's some companies that we've done that. They've been doing it away for a long time, and they want to maintain that for a variety of reasons. Yeah. Efficiencies. We're not doing it this way over here and that way over here and some way else over here, because that can get a little confusing to new people coming in, right?
Yeah.
But at the same token, we're joining them where they're at. And so if they've already started something and it's more efficient for them to continue that, because they're the one who has to operate this thing, right? We come in, we do our project, we hand it over and we move on, and or come back and do the next one, right? But it's how have you been doing things? What's been successful? Some say, you know what, we tried that and this didn't work well. What does? And we bring that expertise in.
Yeah.
Other times it's like, well, we really want to just kind of keep the thing going forward and expand. All right, we can do that as well. So it's a variety of techniques. It's a variety of technologies, but it's really tailoring it to what somebody wants to do. And, scalability, flexibility, all those kinds of things can roll into that. But
yeah. Sometimes we hear, well, we've always done it this way, and
it's back to listening.
Maybe
we need to be listening to what they're wanting to do, and then provide, because we do see the breadth of everything. Back to the dialogue we had earlier, they're asking little questions. Well, we have been doing it this way, but what do you see that's worked well somewhere else? And then maybe that's a new idea for them and their team.
Yeah.
But you talk about it and maybe we do want to try that over here, or this is a little different from the way we've been doing, or the geographic area, or whatever.
Well, and you offer the whole country. I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, you're not going to build a project in southern Missouri the same that you are in, Northwest Nebraska.
Yeah, yep. They can be very different.
Whatever, so
and some similarities too, though.
Yeah,
there's several similarities, oftentimes, but no, you got to kind of tailor each one.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's great. Anything else you want to get off the chest while we have you here?
No, I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you guys for the invitation, and
thank you so much. Yeah. We appreciate you being here, and we've had a relationship as long as I've been here, and I know CBM's worked with you guys even longer. So
yeah, it's been good.
We value that. And
you're a valued partner to Finley as well. Yeah. So thank you guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks again to Larry for joining us. It was a great conversation. I think we can follow up and have many more with him. So thanks again for joining us. We really appreciate it. We value our relationship that we've had over the years. And just a reminder, if you've got a product that you need representation for, or you've got a project where you need assistance, look no further than CBM, cbmrep.com. Thanks again for joining us. And until next time, I hope you've been enjoying Power the Network.